welcome to Fantastic History. I'm Clay.
I'm Sarah.
We're a husband and wife duo who enjoy telling each other about amazing events, people, and mysteries throughout history. Today's episode is about the American Dream.
Oh boy.
An idiot who found riches, and despite the efforts of the universe to part him with it, he endured and deemed himself one of the greatest men in history.
Deemed himself one of the greatest.
Yes.
Okay.
Truly an inspiration. His name was Timothy Dexter. Timothy Dexter was born in 1747 in Malden, Massachusetts.
Oh!
To a poor family of modest means, he left school as a child to work as a farmhand and later as a leather worker's apprentice. By his teens, he was scraping by, doing odd jobs and learning the trade of tanning hides. And he had very little formal education because he was working from the time he was a child. And this showed in the rest of his life, his lack of education. He often admitted that he could barely spell and didn't really know grammar. But Dexter's ambitions were obvious, and he was ambitious in his own peculiar way. When he was 22, he moved to Newburyport, Massachusetts, and married a wealthy widow named Elizabeth Frothingham.
Oh, wow.
I think
she's fancy.
It's a fancy name.
She is a fancy gal.
So she was, as I said, wealthy, and it brought him into some money and a foothold in the local society, though he lacked polish and education, and made him a bit of an outsider among the merchants and upper class. But he began selling goods out of the large home that they purchased. And then after the American Revolution, he decided to purchase a considerable amount of continental currency.
Okay.
Now, this was a currency that was used during the American Revolutionary War, but over time it depreciated in value. However, fortune was on Dexter's side. As I said, he purchased a lot of it. The government, the newly formed American government, in a move that surprised everybody, decided to honor some of the old debt to build public trust, meaning they accepted the continental currency, not at face value, but at a lesser value.
Sure.
So if you had maybe $1 of continental currency, it might give you a nickel for it, or something kind of like that. I'm certain that's not the exact exchange rate. But the point is, Dexter had stacks of this worthless money, and now it was actually worth something.
I see.
Because he got it for nothing, because they were like, "This is useless. We're gonna build our own economy. Mm-hmm. This is just like Confederate note."
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But they said, you know what, we're going to honor this old money. And now Dexter had some fortune. And he used this to build 2 ships.
Okay.
And he began exporting to the West Indies and Europe. But he wanted more.
Sure.
He wanted respect. He wanted to sort of fit in with the Boston elite. But the city's polite society thought that he was a bit of a joke. He was a bumpkin. You know?
Okay, that's fair.
Didn't really fit in. He just kind of got lucky buying this worthless money that ended up getting some, having something behind it and marrying a widow who happened to have a lot of money. So as the story goes, they played some jokes on him that was intended to make him lose his fortune. Mm-hmm. One of these jokes turned into his greatest legend. Some friends, so-called friends, told Dexter that shipping coal to Newcastle would make him rich. It would be a good investment. Now, Newcastle, England, was already the coal capital of Britain.
Okay, yeah, I see the prank.
Apparently, the phrase, like, carrying coals to Newcastle meant something like it was pointless or redundant.
Right.
Right. So Dexter, either clueless or bold or maybe some weird mixture of the two, decided to send an entire shipload of coal to Newcastle.
Okay.
But by sheer dumb luck, It was at the time that the coal miners went on strike.
Oh my God.
So his coal sold immediately
Oh
at a premium.
my God. Amazing.
Now, another time, Dexter shipped bed warmers, which are metal pans. I don't know what you're implying with that.
Okay, sure.
Metal pans that are used to, you put coals in the pan and it warms your bed.
You see that they use one at the beginning of the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie. They put one in Elizabeth Swan's bed to warm it for her.
That's right. It looks very uncomfortable.
Yes. But then she uses it as a weapon when the pirates attack.
So it's dual use.
Yeah.
So he sent this to the West Indies at the suggestion of his friends, not thinking. I'm assuming. I mean, the West Indies are, by the way, are tropical islands.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking.
So what are you going to need these things for? But
Fighting pirates, obviously.
fighting off the pirates. But apparently, local molasses producers snapped them up to use as ladles in their sugar refineries.
Oh, wow.
And he made a profit.
Oh, my God.
He sent mittens to the Caribbean, but a passing ship that was traveling to Siberia bought up the entire stock. He even shipped cats to the islands where they were sold to control rampant rat infestations.
Of course.
So, by sheer accident or hidden genius, Dexter keeps turning a profit on these terrible ideas.
This is incredible. I wish somebody would prank me like this.
Right?
My God.
It sure would be dumb for you to buy Bitcoin, they say in 2011.
Invest in GameStop.
Oh, yeah. That does sound like a joke.
Yes, it does.
Now, to be fair, I don't know how much of this is accurate and how much is folklore that's sort of come up over time. But we don't have to get into that. We've been over that a lot in our stories, but just wanted to bring it up with fantastical tales like this. But by now, Dexter was fabulously wealthy.
Yeah.
And he wanted the world to see it. So he bought. So they had already bought a mansion, the first house they were in, because she, what was her name? Elizabeth Katie Frothingham was already wealthy, so they bought a mansion. I don't know how big that mansion is, though. It could be a McMansion of the time. But now they bought a big mansion in Newburyport and decorated the front lawn with life-size wooden statues of great men of history.
Weird.
George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Napoleon, and, naturally, Timothy Dexter, too.
Oh, my God. Really?
Maybe in the center.
All right.
His statue was inscribed with the words, "I am the first in the East, the first in the West, and the greatest philosopher in the Western world."
Buddy boy, I don't know about that.
It seems that he is suffering from the same, like a Tommy Wiseau
Yes.
syndrome.
Yes.
You know?
Oh, I love that, though. Tommy deserves it.
No, he absolutely does not.
He does. Oh, Tommy.
Weird.
It's a very specific brand of self-confidence. Very specific.
Yeah. So inside the house, Dexter built a mausoleum for himself so he could admire it while he was alive.
I love that, though.
And he even apparently staged his own fake funeral so that he could see how many people would mourn him.
I think you're thinking of Tom Sawyer.
Maybe.
Yeah.
It might be Tom Sawyer.
It's Tom Sawyer.
But legend says that 3,000 people attended. But Dexter was furious because he saw that his wife was not grieving. So
she knows your ass is alive, sir.
Well, I don't know.
Oh
I don't know
God.
the whole story, but the legend says that he revealed himself to be alive, maybe popped out of the coffin or something,
Fell through the roof like Tom Sawyer.
and because his wife wasn't grieving hard enough, He beat her with his cane.
Oh my God.
Can you imagine?
That is not great. I don't think you can call yourself the greatest philosopher if you're doing this.
Well, great men of genius often have troubled histories. I
Mm.
don't know if revealing yourself to be alive at your own fake funeral and then beating your wife who moments ago thought you were dead, and now she's being beaten
by your ghost, as far as she can fucking tell,
is quite a thing. So in his later years, Dexter decided to share his wisdom with the world. In 1802, he self-published a book called A Pickle for Knowing Ones.
Oh.
It was a strange, rambling, semi-coherent rant.
Yeah.
Equal parts manifesto, brag, and complaint.
Okay.
And it contained almost no punctuation and rampant errors in grammar.
Oh my God. Okay, but the way that I love to get a red pen and go through stuff like that, though, like that would be so satisfying for me.
You know, it still exists.
Great. So that's what I want for Christmas. I know it's only July. I know that we're celebrating Halloween, but like just to keep that in mind.
So here's a taste of his style straight from the original text. Now, it's going to be hard to share the grammatical mistakes, but I'll give it my best shot.
Okay.
I'm, spelled I-M-E, the first lord in the United with a Y, states of A. Mercary, now of Newburyport, is the voice, V-O-I-S-E, of the people, and I can't help it, so let it go, G-O-U-E.
Huh.
It was weird. Apparently, but okay, so okay.
Okay.
So it's weird. It's like an illiterate man trying to send back soup in the deli.
Sure.
But readers were amused.
Well, you would be.
And
he is Tommy Wiseau.
He is Tommy Wiseau.
This is The Room.
Yes, it is.
Wow.
And the book sold really well.
Okay, yeah, this is The Room.
It was like the bad movie of the time.
Incredible.
And he printed 8 editions.
You know, it's funny because like I was about to say, like you couldn't do that today. They don't do book versions of like a bad movie, but like how many times have I listened to My Dad Wrote a Porno?
Exactly.
So he's a cross between Tommy Wiseau and Rocky Flintstone.
Yeah, there are some books that are so bad that they become popular.
Okay. Twilight.
Well,
Yeah.
that's one. But you have to invest so much time into reading a book.
Right.
Whereas watching a bad movie, it's only a couple of hours.
Sure.
So,
unless it's Neil Breen, and then it can go for quite some time.
Hey, Neil Breen is a genius. He's the greatest philosopher.
He is the most frightening person I've ever seen in my life. I am so scared. Like, he lives in Nevada? I'm scared he's going to show up at our house someday.
Well,
I am so scared of him.
Well, according to his movies, he can reappear anywhere.
So you see the problem.
Kill people.
Oh my God.
Anyway, let's get back to Timothy
Sorry.
Dexter. Readers complained that it was impossible to follow because it had no punctuation, and I'm assuming no plot.
Yeah. Just like Rocky Flintstone.
Well, Dexter solved the problem in the next edition by adding an entire page at the end filled with nothing but random punctuation marks. Which I think is very smart.
Queen behavior.
Add them where you see fit.
Oh my God.
He told his readers to, quote, pepper and salt it as they please.
Wow.
So here's some more lines from the book because it's hilarious. I, the Lord Timothy Dexter, desire you to send me a few lines to let me know how the world goes. I don't know what that means. Also, good be the use of riches, but the best of all is to use it well.
Okay, sure. A little bit circular, but okay.
I'm assuming it's like Nostradamus, like you have to bring your own interpretation to it.
Yeah. I feel like I know what he's trying to say, but he's just simply an idiot.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Despite being the target of ridicule, Dexter was a success and left behind a legacy that still fascinates people today. A Pickle for Knowing Ones remains one of the most strange pieces of American literature.
Sure.
It's sometimes described as a cross between poetry and folk art, but I think that's giving it a bit. It's going a bit far.
Okay, sure.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
He's been called the original American eccentric, which I think is pretty fair.
Yeah.
And kind of a folk hero.
Interesting.
I don't know if I'd go that far.
I probably wouldn't.
But proof that sometimes being underestimated can be a strength.
Yeah.
Dexter died in 1806 and is buried in Newburyport, but not in the grand tomb that he built for himself, unfortunately.
Oh.
Like everything else about him, that plan didn't go as expected. His tomb fell into disrepair and was eventually destroyed. Today, he rests in a modest grave in the local cemetery. His mansion, though, stood for many years, and although it was destroyed in a fire, the original blueprints were used by the owner to rebuild the home exactly as it was in the same place that it was originally.
Weird.
And it still stands today.
That's so crazy.
As a private residence.
Well, sure.
And I'm pretty sure that almost all of those statues are now gone.
I would imagine so. If they were wooden statues and it's been like over 200 years.
It'd be hard to, yeah, especially with they're kept outside.
Yeah.
I hope that his survived, though.
I don't.
Okay. Well, that is the story of history's greatest philosopher.
No, the hell is not. I feel like I'm a better philosopher than that guy. And I barely understand philosophy. And I only understand any of it because I watch The Good Place. So
That's true. That's true. Well, thank you for listening and spending your day with us. Hopefully part of your day. We hope you enjoyed that story, and if you did, please take a second to rate, review, and subscribe on whatever podcast platform you use. You can check us out on Threads and Instagram for more content. We're Fantastic H Pod on both. We're also on YouTube. Just search Fantastic History Podcast, or you can shoot us an email at fantastichistorypod@gmail.com. And we'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.